My friends, welcome to episode 45 of Prof and Dev Play Games. I'm the Prof, and over there is the Dev. My name's Larry, and that guy's name is Anthony.
Hi there.
Would you like to say anything to our audience today, Anthony, before we begin? Anything
All
fancy?
you gamers are entitled.
Oh, shit. Oh, throwing down the gauntlet. Gamers are entitled. I'm entitled to everything that I want when I want it without paying anything for it.
Or before you are expecting to get it.
Right.
When you want it. I want it now. Give it.
So there's some foreshadowing there. Today we're going to discuss a little bit of No Man's Sky. And we got some news about some stuff from Blizzard, Nintendo, Elder Scrolls, and some Overwatch, and then get into some of the games we're playing. And we're going to finish with an off-topic banter about what we're reading currently. But we are going to start with a discussion of No Man's Sky. Oh, before I get there, there will be a Steam code buried somewhere in this episode. It's for kind of a cool game on Steam. So if you're a Steam game player and looking for a free game, stay tuned. And sometime during the episode, I will read you the code. And Anthony doesn't know what game it is. Always a surprise for him, too.
It's okay.
So we're going to jump right into No Man's Sky. You have the game pre-ordered.
I do.
You're jumping on the ship and going to be flying around come Tuesday. But
It shipped. I got my shipping notification today.
Oh, wow. Maybe you'll get it before Tuesday.
No, I'll be here Tuesday.
Oh, okay.
This is how Amazon works. It'll be... I bet it's sitting in a warehouse somewhere in the Seattle area waiting. And they'll ship it Monday morning.
Well, I bought a bunch of stuff for my new house, and it said that it would be here Tuesday, and it came today. But, it's probably different for a game they know has a street date.
Yeah. So yep, Tuesday it will be here. But as we've seen, people have already started playing it.
Sure have, not just that one dude who paid a couple thousand.
Like there's been people Walmart's breaking street date. And,
Walmart is?
Yeah, there was a place, Polygon had it written. I don't know if it was a Walmart, but there was a big box store in New York that just put copies out on the shelf.
Damn.
These stores, it's employees that have no clue. They're just like, here, we got this in, put it on the shelf.
But I thought that their computer systems would lock out the sale.
No. So if it got added, that's... A lot of this stuff isn't... It's usually just boxes that say, do not put on shelf until then. And if someone ignores it and is not really looking at it, out it goes. So, Polygon got a copy from the store because they hadn't got a review code yet.
Right.
So, this is happening. People are now playing. And, like expected, there is a day one patch.
That comes out on day one.
That does come out on day one. I bet it's actually probably up there now, especially for review copies. That's what they're saying. They were holding out, sending review keys out until this patch was up. And if you read the patch notes, it's a significant chunk of balance and polish on the game, because the game went gold 6 or 7 weeks ago.
Right.
Maybe a little longer when they pressed it to disc. And those discs in the boxes, and Sean Murray tweeted out the picture last week of them at like 4 a.m. finishing up this patch, which is, you should consider the actual version of the game they're expecting people to play. And now this patch is coming out, but anyone who has had the game early is having their progress wiped.
That makes me smile a little bit. And I know that sucks for people who are playing early, but...
It's kind of, it's it's multiplayer in the fact that it's on a server. Clearly, especially some of the people playing, hey, this thing's broken or that's broken. It was clear that it was not final code. It was enough to get through certification and get onto discs. But it wasn't the actual, at least hopefully balanced game that will be coming out Monday night, Tuesday. But yeah, so there's been a big uproar. I just see a lot of things swirling about always kind of getting back to why are there day one patches? Why do devs release broken stuff? Which I would say, well, they technically weren't planning on releasing broken stuff. It was just when they had to ship it, and wasn't the actual final game. I mean, if this was a full digital release and they didn't do retail, the version that you would actually play would be this 1.03 patch on Tuesday.
And I feel like as a developer you can't win because Sean Murray and the Hello Games team kind of got shit on for delaying the game. So if you want a game that has all the day one patch stuff, then it would be going gold now, and it would be coming out at the end of September or middle of September or whatever. Like, they can't win.
No. And so this is just, as a developer, always kind of annoys me, and the entitlement of, why isn't the game just done now? Why isn't it the perfect thing? I have it. I want the perfect thing. It's like, that's not how game development works. Most companies don't have the power to hold that long. And honestly, you have to go through the certification process for any of these companies is a long and arduous process. And if you fail, you're going to be at it for a few more weeks before you can try again.
And you probably have to pay again. I mean, I assume that
unless you get waived.
Oh, okay.
And I assume... Actually, I don't assume. I assume that one of the things, because Sony is partnering with how that they are waiving some of those fees. But yeah, it costs thousands of dollars to submit a game for certification.
The thing that kind of galls me about this situation in particular is the people who have gotten the game early and are complaining about how they've got a broken game and it's not, perfect in the disc that they have. You're playing the game early. You basically cheated the system in some way to get the game early. And if you do that, I think you should go in with the expectation that this isn't going to be perfect. Like, I'm scamming this in some way and I'm going to get what I can get out of it.
Yeah.
And just the nerve to complain. It's almost like when people, I can't remember specific situations, but when people pirated games on the PC and it wasn't perfect and they complained about the game, but they had pirated copies. Like, you don't get to fucking complain if you're pirating the game. Like, you just don't. Like, I don't care if you're pirating games. Like, different circumstances necessitate different things, but you don't get to fucking complain if you got something for free or you stole something.
Yeah. With this, it's just been a thing of Sean Murray getting backlash when he's like, hey, everyone should probably just wait before they play this. It'd be great. And then he gets, everyone, a large vocal minority backlashing against him, going how dare you say we wait, we have it now, we can play. It's just he is making the game. He doesn't want to present you with something that is broken and not up to the standards that he is hoping the game to be at. And yeah, it's a screwed up system if what's on disc isn't actually the game that they want to ship.
Right. But that's the reality.
It's also an online-only game, so you have to know that you have to patch it day one. That's just something that's going to happen. And this isn't new. This whole thing with day one patches and people complain about them, but man, they've been going on for a long time now. 5 years plus.
Well, and people complain about them. I think there are, okay, first of all, let me back up a step. There are some legitimate complaints about people in certain areas that don't have access to broadband or they have data caps. These huge day one patches are sort of getting out of hand. But at the same time, if those patches don't come out and fix a slew of things that need to be fixed, people will complain. People will complain when they do come out because there's so much to download. People will complain honestly, no matter what.
I would say, size-wise, that isn't just these day one patches getting insane. It's the size of games getting huge.
Yeah.
A game takes up an entire Blu-ray. I just looked on my computer, WoW is taking up 100 gigabytes on my computer.
Okay, first of all, you still have WoW installed? I thought you didn't.
Yes, I do.
Oh, wow, okay.
I want to get that, the level 20 Hearthstone.
Oh, yeah, right.
The Paladin.
Mm-hmm.
So I reinstalled it, but then I was it took it a while to install, almost an entire day. and then I looked how big it was on disk. And yeah, it was about 100 gigabytes.
Well, and you look at a game, I know that you don't have an Xbox One, but Halo 5, the base game was 50 gigs before the DLC, and there were huge DLC patches. Like the one in April was almost 9 gigs. Yeah. And so when you add up all the gig, it's almost 100 gigs for a console game.
Yeah, I mean, it's not shocking. That's just the size of content.
Right.
It's just when people expect high quality models and lots of content, it's going to require a lot of space. And so when these patches, day one patches for games that are in, let's just say 20 to 30 gigabytes, and a day one patch is a couple gigabytes, not shocked. That's what you should expect. So I mean, that's just a people want higher quality games. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah, and I'm very thankful that I'm not a marketer or a developer or anyone who's trying to work in this industry, only because I feel like when you take all of the voices as like a monolithic entity, it seems like very schizophrenic, and to me it would feel like I don't really know what to do until you break it down and figure out, this faction is saying this faction is saying that. But whenever I kind of process all of these arguments or discussions on the internet, it just kind of feels like it's one gamer, it's gamers saying this, when it's really just individual people inside of that group. But I wouldn't know what to do.
It takes a while to get used to it. I will thank my time at Sabretooth Games and card game stuff beforehand, and them having their own public forum. Mm-hmm. That's a fun place. When you have a competitive card games,
right?
And you have to, make your card game and balance it while listening to a very small portion of your player base being very vocal on a forum and not really being nice most of the time.
Right.
But balancing what they're saying, which they're the people coming to the forum, and especially even here, you can say the people posting on Reddit or NeoGAF are hardcore gamers. Like, they are the invested gamer.
Yep.
They are a core audience. They might not be huge, but you don't want to ignore them completely, because they can word of mouth. It does matter. So I mean, coming from that Sabretooth thing, you learn to have a thick skin and figure out, like, okay, this is what they're yelling about, but what are they actually saying?
Yeah, and
because most people do have. That's the problem. They're expressing themselves poorly, but they might actually have legitimate complaints that you can fix.
Yeah, and sometimes I think in any arena where there's kind of like an angry not mob, but an angry group of people, they don't necessarily know what they want, but you have to parse it and kind of not take it personally, and it's
hard.
Yeah, exactly.
So
I just can't imagine Sean Murray wanting to do anything with games ever again after this whole thing, but no, it's a passion. So
the high of releasing something drowns out any of the negative, especially because for all those negatives, you always see the people that are just like, I love this game.
Right.
Thank you for making this game. And you're like, yeah, that's all I needed.
The more I see of the game, like I've been lukewarm toward the game, but the more I see of it, it seems like something that I could definitely waste a lot of time in. But I'm going to wait for your verdict before I commit.
Based on these patch notes, the 1.03 patch notes, it's going to be significant. Because I was like, okay, I watched that streaming a little bit, and I was like, okay, it looks like what they promised. But I read a little bit more as the guy posted on Reddit like a day or two later, explaining there were just some broken things in it. I was like, oh, that's weird. It's like, hope they fix that. And the patch notes are like, all those things are like addressed in these patch notes and fixed. And I was like, there we go. That's why.
And that's because Hello Games found those same things. I mean, obviously they're not responding or reacting to this guy because it's been a week or so, a week and a half.
Yeah, I mean, they just knew that those were bugs. They just The thing is whenever they knew what their release date after they delayed it, they knew their release date. they worked backwards and said, okay, we have to have the game certified by Sony on this date. And so they worked to get a thing that Sony would certify and put on disc at that date. That does not mean it's the game that that they're happy with, but it passed certification. That's the important part.
Well, in these patch notes for 103, it talks about a long-term plan.
Yep.
So even after this patch, it's still not what they want it to be because they want more. They want to keep growing this game.
I have a feeling they're going to be growing. As long as it's successful, you should expect to see this. This isn't the type of game that I feel like you just make and forget about. There'll probably be a number of patches. And, I mean, I'm trying to think, because it has the Minecraft elements to it.
Yeah.
Minecraft's updated all the time, even before Microsoft owned it. Probably even more before Microsoft owned it.
Probably.
There's just tons of things you can add. You can always be adding, giving people new things to explore, discover. So I think as long as it's successful, you'll be seeing No Man's Sky stuff for years, honestly.
Well, I hope it is a game that can hold your interest, for example, for that long.
I could see. What I'm hoping for is a game that I can get into right now, play to my heart's content, and then, of course, I'll move on to something else. But I can always come back to it and start exploring more. It's kind of how I play Minecraft.
Right.
Like, I play Minecraft probably 2 or 3 times a year for a couple weeks when I need it. And if this can replace that, I'd be very happy.
The thing that is intriguing to me about the game is that it seems like it's like a half an hour at a time kind of game. Like, fly around, jump into a planet, mine some stuff, check out some biomes. Is that a plural?
Yeah.
I'm not sure. And then sign off. And then rinse and repeat.
It's up to you to figure out what you want to do. You're like, I want to go here, get this type of resource, construct this, build this. One of the things, their future plan is they want people to be able to build outposts and bases.
Well, even in these notes, they said that they're allowing, let's see here, space station, nope, not space station. Next up, it's the next one. Next up, we're adding the ability to build bases and own giant space freighters.
Yeah, so I assume you can start making your own trade lanes and things like that.
That's cool.
You can make your own space empire.
Right. And that's the promise that people, I think, are looking for in this game.
Yeah.
So
I'm looking forward to it. Tuesday, it will happen.
So
Tuesday.
you're swearing off the PC version because it's delayed till Friday.
Yeah, and I now realize why it was, because that's the worldwide release date.
That makes sense.
That's PC everywhere.
Right.
So I was like, yep. But PS4 it will be for now. And I can get really cool trophies that have
those
great names.
Titles. I know the titles of those trophies are probably my favorite trophy titles I've ever seen, just because they harken back to sci-fi novels and such.
Yeah, classic. It's exactly what the game was trying to be. It harkens to what inspired it, which is those sci-fi novels from the 40s, 50s, 60s.
Right. The golden age of sci-fi, quote unquote.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah, it is. And then I guess we can move on to news, but the next thing on the news is sci-fi as well.
Yeah, so when we come back from the break, we will jump into that sci-fi news, and it is something that gets me excited because of the potential for something else. So stay right there, and we'll be right back. All right, my friends, welcome back from the break. We are here to share some news with you. We got 4 news items for you this week, but before we get to the news, I have a code to give you. This is a code for Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Multiplayer Starter Kit, and the code is I9Z3L TKFJI Y4WBG. Again, that is... you can rewind it and listen to that again. So hopefully you got it, and hopefully you enjoy it, and try to get it before Anthony steals it. Although, actually, it's multiplayer, so he probably won't.
It's true. It does not interest me.
Yeah. Well, I have this other code for you if you want it, the Jackbox Party Pack 2.
That is intriguing.
If
I
you're
would need
interested.
people to play it with.
Ooh, yeah, that's always the thing that you need.
Yeah. They're fantastic games, though.
They're so good. So good. Speaking of fantastic games, the first news story is about something fantastic.
It is. I am super, excited about this. So there's rumors that at BlizzCon this year, which is in...
September, I think?
It's September? No, it could be... Yeah, I think it's September this year. It's always late September or October. They are going to announce Starcraft HD. So I'm not surprised by this because the original Starcraft is still played heavily in esports, more than Starcraft. Not more than Starcraft 2, but it's still people still play the original Starcraft. So there's an audience for it. What is surprising is I never expected Blizzard to go revisit their older games and make an HD version. They've always seemed like a company focused on forward, the next thing. Not really. They're like, we will support the old stuff and patch it. But I would have never thought to see them remake it.
Well, it seems like, well, first of all, money on the table, of course, but it's also a great way to kind of throw a bone at those audiences. Something, it's not new, but it is new at the same time, so by their time while they're waiting for the actual new thing. And if, this, I never played StarCraft the original. I played StarCraft 2 a little bit, but this makes me think about Diablo 2 HD, quote unquote, or Diablo 2 remastered. I would probably shit myself if that was announced.
It's true.
I would go nuts. That's my
I like Diablo.
game.
I like Diablo 3, but Diablo 2 is still
Miles above it.
Kind of, yeah.
In my view. I mean, Diablo 2, 3 is great. It is really fun, but 2, man, how many hours did you put into that game?
I don't even know. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I have no way to track it anymore.
Right. And you beat the game with every class.
I have.
Hardcore stuff with not every class for me at least, but just so many.
Diablo 2 I just played at different times. It was another one of those games that there was a good stretch from basically 2002 till probably until before Reaper of Souls came out, where every action RPG I played, I would play for a little bit, and then I would just go play Diablo 2.
Right.
Because that's all it did to me. It was like going, well, this is okay, but I could just be playing Diablo 2, and I just install it and play it. And that happened. That went on for like a decade or more. So I've probably put over 1,000 hours into that game or more.
Well, now that I've got a gaming PC, the legacy games on what's it called, the Battle.net.
Yeah.
Diablo 2 for 10 and Lord of Destruction for 10. It's just like that seems like money well spent.
Do you still have your key?
No, I got.
Because if you have your key, you can just. That's how.
No,
you can just enter it. I was really surprised whenever I just went there. I had my keys and my CD binder.
Maybe my mom has hers. Or actually, I gave mine to my mom. Maybe I can...
There you go.
Oh, I should ask her for it. Maybe she has it somewhere. Oh, God, that game.
It's really good.
Anyway, this news story is about StarCraft. So you played StarCraft, right?
I did. I did play StarCraft back when it came out in when we were in high school. I mean, it's good. It still holds up. It's a really good RTS. And I'm curious to see what an HD version is. Because I immediately think in my head, I'm like, oh, they'll do it in like 3D, maybe using like the StarCraft 2 engine, and it very well might not be that. It might still be just do 2D. Just update the sprites, update the map, UI.
Right.
So I'm curious. I was not expecting anything like this. They said, I see Blizzard as a company that always looks forward to the next thing that they're trying to make, not trying to revamp old products.
So this is, at this point, it's a rumor, right?
It is a rumor.
So it's not for sure, but how much credence do you give this rumor, which we see here? It was published on Kotaku. No, first started in Korea, and then went to Kotaku, and then it's now here with PC Gamer. Like, do you think this is legit?
Multiple sources. I think it's as legit as you can get in rumors. Usually whenever people say they have multiple sources saying this with knowledge, this is knowledge of Blizzard internal plans, which probably means multiple sources from within Blizzard.
Huh.
There's probably just this rumor happened. Journalists know people that work at Blizzard and say, hey, is this happening? And they didn't deny it, usually. So yeah, there you go. It would make sense, because I don't really know all the stuff coming out of BlizzCon this year.
Mm-hmm.
This would be a good thing. There's people talking about Diablo 4, but I don't put much stock in that at all.
Yeah, I would. Given how much time there was between 2 and 3, I would.
2 and 3. They would have loved to have a Diablo 3 sooner.
Oh,
there was like 3 versions of Diablo 3 that got canceled.
Oh, okay.
In that time period.
It just seems more likely to have another expansion.
Yeah, I don't think they're ready to give up on 3, the stuff that they've set in motion with 3.
There's more
with the way they're patching and updating. It just doesn't make sense to me that they're ready to move forward with a 4. A Diablo card game I could see.
Oh god, another card game.
I could totally see them doing a Diablo card game, with Hearthstone doing so well. Honestly, I could see them doing a Starcraft card game before that. God, a Starcraft card game would be great.
Starcraft would make more sense to me just because it's a different genre. Like, instead of the fantasy, it's the sci-fi side. And I feel like with the player base, at least in Asia, it seems like there's a larger player base for Starcraft than Diablo, but
that'd be good. Now I'm excited because I want a Starcraft card game.
So, welcome to Prof and Dev fantasize about games they want.
Yeah, my mind is just racing. I'm like, why doesn't this game exist? I want to play this game.
Luckily, you're a dev and you can create it. Just use different IP.
Exactly.
Just use it.
I'll just make it
in a weekend, right?
In a week.
Yeah.
Weekend. Yeah, it's totally. Totally how this works.
I've heard about these game jams. You can just whip things out, right?
Kind of. I've done it. I wouldn't sell that game for any money whatsoever, but it was fun.
Unpleasant Pony or Unpleasant Horse?
Unpleasant Horse. It's not available anymore.
It's not?
No.
Oh, I'm glad I have it on my phone. I play it all the time.
Good. I'm glad you do too. Yeah, it got pulled down.
For any reason, or
support, basically.
Oh yeah, okay.
There's no one at PopCap wanted to support the thing. Like, customer support was like, "What is this?"
Right.
So it was just easier. There's a bunch of old PopCap games that got just removed from the App Store.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Years ago.
Well, sorry, listeners, you can't play it, but maybe you can find a Let's Play of it on YouTube. Maybe not.
Maybe I should put up a little Let's Play. It'll only be like a 5-minute video, but whatever.
My wife, that's my wife's favorite mobile game.
Well, tell her.
In fact, the only one that she plays.
There we go.
Tell her what?
It's probably unbalanced. It has bugs.
I gotta tell you, my wife doesn't care.
Okay.
Oh, speaking of my wife, remind me to bring her back into the what I'm playing discussion later.
Oh no.
No, it's a good thing. It made me very happy.
Okay. All right.
So
from that on to something that you're going to talk about.
Yeah. Speaking of games that we want to play, there's a report. This is from Polygon that Nintendo NX will get Zelda, Mario, and Pokemon games within the first 6 months.
It better.
It goddamn better. Like, they need to have the software lined up in the first 6 months where people are like, I cannot play anything else except for this.
It better launch with Mario.
It has to. It's obviously
it's going to launch with Zelda.
We know that already, but it's got to launch with Mario too. Like, you need to have the best launch lineup of any console in history.
I could see them holding off on Pokemon. I don't feel like that needs to be at launch. But within the first. So let's say it launches in spring. By Christmas, there should be a Pokemon game out for it.
Well, and the fact that Pokemon is going to launch with this, and Game Freak and the other company that owns part of Pokemon, Game
Creature.
Freak. Yeah, there we go. I've been pretty adamant that Pokemon is at its heart a mobile game, like not just like mobile phone, but I mean like DS, 3DS, whatever, Game Boy. That gives more credence to the fact that this NX is the hybrid handheld home console, tying everything together. This is, I believe these rumors 100%. And if that rumor does turn out to be true, I'm going to buy an NX on day one, because that is awesome. Like what Sony wanted with the Vita and the PS4, or even the PS3, to have, mobile gaming, take your Vita away, then come back and hook up to your PS4 somehow, or that they never really got right. This might get right.
Yeah, they're going to try. And I saw some newer rumors that was updated from what we talked about last week about like the internals and the hardware. And a lot of the rumors are pointing that the NVIDIA chip they're using is going to use the NVIDIA's Pascal architecture, which is not the Tegra X1. Mm-hmm. It is the Tegra X. It's like the X2 architecture. It may not be what the Tegra X2 is, but it's using that underlying architecture. So it should actually have some nice horsepower there for graphics.
Well, and to be able to take Breath of the Wild on the go, play it on the train, whatever, come back, sync up to the TV, and just continue your game. Seriously, this thing sounds awesome.
It's true.
And I'm just waiting for Nintendo to fuck it up somehow. And the way that they would do that is to have no games. So this rumor is giving me some hope. And the Nintendo, obviously, I think I've said before on the show, but to not have Mario Universe on the Wii U was a missed opportunity. But I think they, after a while, realized they needed to save the next 3D Mario for the next console, and it's got to be a launch game.
Yeah. I kind of agree. It needs to be there. When I told you this news, you mentioned the one game that isn't on here.
Yeah, and it's the 30th anniversary of that game. There's no Metroid. And I know Metroid doesn't sell like these other games do, but I can't think of a game in the last 3 years that Nintendo fans have been screaming for more than Metroid.
What do you mean? Federation Force. There you go.
And that kind of proves my point. Like how people freaked out about that game, which by all accounts might be a great game, but when you tack Metroid onto it, we're expecting something.
Yeah. Inserting another news item in here, did you see...
Yes.
Talking about the 30th anniversary, the...
Metroid 2?
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't played it. I downloaded it. Haven't got a chance to play it today yet, though.
My friend down here sent me the link and said you need to download this because he knows that I'm working my way through Super Metroid and am enjoying it quite thoroughly. But apparently it's Metroid 2, updated graphics. They've added a few new areas, like, putting the care into the franchise that Nintendo's not doing right now.
Yeah. So I'm sure this is going to get nixed quickly.
Well,
there's no legal way.
Yeah, exactly.
Because of IP laws and everything, Nintendo pretty much is obligated, has to take this down,
right.
or this can be brought up in later court cases as saying you're not protecting your IP.
That's right.
So grab it now if you want it, because I'm pretty sure it's going away.
So it's a Windows executable.
It is.
Can I download it on my Mac and then transfer it to my PC later?
It's just a zip file.
Oh, okay, I'll do that tonight then, because I don't have
and if you miss it, I have it. I'll share it with you.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I mean, it will always be out there, I'm sure now,
right. but not maybe through that channel.
Yeah. But there you go. People wanted that thing. I mean, that's an update of a Game Boy game.
Well, and look, yeah, exactly. It's a Game Boy, like the original Game Boy. Okay. So the amount of games that have come out in the last 10 years, 5 years even, that have been called Metroidvanias.
Yep.
And how badly people want... Okay. And 3D platformers and all this stuff. I feel like in the past 5 years, if Nintendo had put out just a retro Mario game, a retro Zelda game, a retro Metroid game, I feel like those would have sold pretty well. People, the indies are eating into their market share, which is fine because they have different ideas, but it just seems like missed opportunities.
When did Other M come out?
2010?
Yep, 2010. So
boom.
6 years since. That's the
last, and that bombed, didn't it?
Yeah, it was not good. It was a weird, really, really, really weird game comparison to other Metroid games, but it was done by Team Ninja. It was meant to be its own other thing.
Hence the name.
Yeah. But I mean, there was the trilogy pack, the Metroid Prime trilogy,
which was on Wii U. Excuse me.
That was on Wii, right?
Yeah. But it was re-released on Wii U for the
that was 2009.
Right, and that was the Wii game that they put out on the Wii U as a Wii game. Let me get that right.
And don't get me wrong, Metroid Prime was really good.
But people are looking for the 2D side-scrolling puzzle thing. The Metroid in Metroidvania, if you will. And
to me, I would have still taken a new Metroid Prime. Because I really did enjoy that series. I felt like it did justice to those games. Being in 3D, it still did justice. It felt right. But they haven't even done that.
Well, Retro has been working on a game for a while, since Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze came out, and rumor is that it's Metroid some way. It can't be a Donkey Kong game again, I hope, even though I love Donkey Kong games. Yeah. Oh, so my question for you, the rumors of the NX, and if it does indeed turn out to be the handheld hybrid, and it does indeed have, high caliber games to launch, are you a day one purchaser? Or are you going to sit back and wait?
I'd be very tempted day one. We'll see how much it costs.
Yeah.
That's a big thing. I'm curious. I'm really curious how much it's going to cost. Because I don't think with all the rumors, they aren't leveraging it as this is the only thing you have in your house. I can't see people just being like, I'm only going to have an NX. Feel like they want it to be the thing you have in addition to a PS4 or an Xbox One.
That means the price has got to be lower.
It does, but if it's not low enough, you're not going to hit that. So I don't know. Let's say it's... Oh man, it's going to be more than a DS. I guess it's probably going to be around $250, $300.
Yep.
They can't really go higher than $300.
Right. Yeah, I think $250 is the lowest, and $350 is the highest, and $350 is too high.
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be a tight one there, but I'm definitely looking at it, and I'm hoping that these games are actually coming out to it, and this is all real, because I want them. I want them badly.
Well, and if they want people to buy their system, they just need to put out games that people want. Like, stop at the,
And it's true, and they have IPs that they can only get on Nintendo, and that people really want.
Yep.
But just listen to what the audience actually wants.
And I don't know how well Nintendo has been doing that lately, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's true.
Breath is held. I think we're going to hear next month, though. I
think we'll hear in September.
Yeah. That's 6 months out from March when the NX is supposed to be launching, unless they delay it, which is always a possibility with Nintendo. So
yeah. And that's okay. I mean, they haven't announced much, which is good.
Yeah.
So I think they'll be, once they actually say something, really do a full reveal, you'll know it's coming and it won't be delayed.
Right.
So that'll be good.
Speaking of something that's coming out at some point soon, next news story from Polygon.
Yeah, the Elder Scrolls Legends, that's the Elder Scrolls card game, is now a public beta, so everyone can jump in and try it. I finished up the campaign with what's in there last Monday. I don't know how much I'll continue to play it, but I do recommend, just if you want to see an interesting take on a digital card game. It's free, play it, enjoy it. They do some things that are very, very different than Hearthstone, so, which is neat to see.
Well, and this is the one with the single-player kind of campaign, right?
Yeah. It's not hugely long. It's 20-some-odd scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
But they are scenario. Like, some are basic, but some just radically change the rules of the game. And so it makes it kind of fun. You don't know what you're getting into, and you get a lot of cards and content as you play. So,
is it something like the Hearthstone expansions? I forget what they were.
It's kind of like those, just expanded out bigger.
Okay.
So I mean, it's like that some, and I don't know. People should give it a try. It's pretty well polished. It's an interesting take on the whole thing.
Well, and it's free beta right now. So
yeah, it's completely free. It's going to be free when it comes out, and I didn't spend any money on it, and
right.
Got a bunch of cards, got a bunch of pre-made decks, played a bunch of games. The last mission is a pain in the ass, but it felt great when you beat it.
Does your stuff wipe when it actually launches in the fall?
It might. I don't know if they said that specifically, but I know Hearthstone did it. But any money you spent, you just got credited.
Okay.
The coins back,
mm-hmm.
so that you could just, or if it's packs, you just got that many packs again.
Oh, that's cool.
It's like you never lost money. You just might lose what you had, and you have to reopen packs, and so I don't think no one will be out. You won't be out any money. So if people do find it and enjoy it, shouldn't be worried about spending money there.
Well, it must be nice for them to have people spending money on an open beta.
Oh, it's the best part of these free-to-play games, trust me.
Yeah, well, that's why there's so many, because there are enough whales out there that it floats everyone else, and the companies
kind
too.
of, yeah. So it's a nice... I didn't know much about this game before getting into the closed beta, and I was pleasantly surprised. I was thinking it was really just going to be like, oh, look at it's an Elder Scrolls Hearthstone.
Mm-hmm.
But they've actually they're trying to do some different things, and I appreciate that. I appreciate them trying to move forward with their IP, even though I don't find the Elder Scrolls world all that compelling.
Yeah.
It's a lot of names and stuff. I'm like, I don't know who these people are. What king? What empire? I don't know.
Right. I found that with Skyrim. Like, I love fantasy lore and literature and movies, and I could give a fuck less about anything happening in Skyrim. And I played that. I think I put about 10 hours into it this summer, or before I went to Mexico, perhaps, and I just don't care.
Yeah, I don't care about their big overarching lore. I like their stories that they put into the game, like the more character stories, but the actual lore of the world, I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, right. I agree. So pivoting from that to another game, the last piece of our news is a game that has some lore too that I haven't really explored, but this is Overwatch. And the news from Overwatch is that they're hooking their cart to the Summer Olympics.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Summer Olympics is my favorite Olympics to watch. Ever since I was 10, maybe, I would just stay up all night watching the Summer Olympics as a kid, and I've just loved watching the track and field, the swimming, the team sports, basketball, for example. Yeah. But they've got it's not a patch, but it's a promotion or something.
It's an event.
There we go. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for. For 3 weeks, they're celebrating the spirit of competition in true Overwatch fashion. Earn special seasonal loot boxes, collect over 100 new cosmetic items, and hit the field with your friends in our latest brawl, Lucio Ball. So it kind of looks like Rocket League.
It is Rocket League.
Yeah.
Done with everyone playing Lucio.
Yeah, you're playing as Lucio, and you're shooting a soccer ball into... I mean, it's Rocket League with Lucio.
But there's some interesting... I was watching some people stream it. The ultimate's been changed in it, Lucio's ult, so whenever you use your ultimate while in there, it pulls the ball towards you. So you can do, like, crazy saves and stuff.
That's awesome.
And, like, you can do all sorts of weird stuff. I don't know. It's I think we're seeing what we can expect from Overwatch as it moves forward and what they're going to be doing on probably a regular basis.
The thing that annoys me about this, and I think this is something that I've seen online with some people as well, and it's true of the cosmetic items in the game right now, I would pay $5 for a Reinhardt skin. The one that I want. But instead, you're buying these loot boxes with the lottery chance of actually pulling the RNG machine. And I think people are, in this limited time event, like, I want Tracer's Olympic suit. Just let me buy it. Take my money. But no, you've got to buy these boxes.
No, because all marketing and research has shown doing it this random way makes you more money.
Of course.
It just does.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the human condition where
you
have a chance. Like it's the gambling thing. It's gambling.
Everyone will say they would want to just buy it, and I bet there's a good portion of people that would just buy it. But the amount of money that people spend just buying those crates trying to get it far outweighs that.
Oh yeah,
I've had this argument plenty of times and have been shown the data very much going like, no, this is it. And you're like, oh, man, people are suckers.
Well, it's because, okay, let's say you have 100 players and 10 of those players want to buy cosmetic things. If you let them buy the thing they want, they've bought 10 things. But if you make them buy crates, each one might buy 10 crates, so they've bought 100 things.
Yep.
That's it.
That's
done.
Yep.
Simple math.
It is, and I feel sorry for it, but this has been going on, since baseball cards?
Oh, yeah.
Before that?
Exactly.
I mean, it's gambling. But
it's gambling, but yeah, baseball cards is, as a kid, the comic book cards too.
Yeah.
Yep. You want that thing, or, Magic the Gathering, you want that thing, you're going to open the packs.
Magic just made it a game, but I knew Magic wasn't the first to do it.
No,
so.
Of course not. Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, I feel you. Everyone just wants to buy stuff, but I also understand the cold hard facts of making money.
Right, they're businesses. They need to make money. I will not buy a loot box. Sorry, I did that.
Yeah.
I fell into that trap with TF2, and TF2 did it in that. I don't know if you played it at the point where they're dropping the chests or boxes or whatever.
There's the chests, and then you got keys, right?
You have to buy the keys. You don't buy the chests. You buy the keys. So in the game, those chests drop, and you have it in your inventory, and it's just staring at you like it could be something good.
Yep.
Like, you have the chest. I just need to open it. And motherfucker, I bought probably 30 keys.
They're just screwing with human psychology so much.
It got me. I'm a person who doesn't usually spend money on free-to-play
games. But it's there. It's just sitting there.
And I was one of the people who paid for TF2. Like, I bought it when it wasn't free-to-play.
Yep.
Ugh. Oh, well.
Pokemon Go does the same thing. They have the eggs that you hatch, but you have incubators. You have one incubator you always have, infinite uses, and then sometimes you're gifted 3-use incubators, and you can buy 3-use incubators, but you can hold 9 eggs. So they're just sitting there. Those eggs are just sitting there. And you're walking around. If you had those all in incubators, they'd all be getting progress.
Oh my god, this is insidious.
Oh, it is. I'm pretty sure that's where they're making most of their money on Pokemon Go.
Yeah.
Well, it's the stupid incubators.
Right.
I have not succumbed to it, but I totally see. I was like, wow, okay. It's got to be in here somewhere, specifically for the people that want to spend money on it. So.
Right.
But yeah, so my question with this is, now we see them doing a 3-week event here. Halloween event is the next one?
Oh, yeah.
Think it'll be Halloween?
Yep. Anything between now and then? No, it is Halloween. Halloween, maybe.
And then, holiday, Christmas.
Yeah. Right. Probably not Thanksgiving.
No.
That's too American-centric.
Yeah.
Yeah, but okay, this is a worldwide game. Like, maybe, hopefully, we would see other holidays. Not just, Christian-centric.
That's why I said, it wouldn't be, what's the way they do in WoW? They don't.
It's not Christmas.
They do their own holiday,
Yule or something.
Yeah. For WoW, they theme it up as there's a whole Warcraft lore holiday that they do. They just made their own, but it has presents and giving, and so I would expect that they'll try to do stuff in Overwatch like that, so they won't call it Halloween. They'll have some spooky event around them.
Right.
Which, honestly, that would probably draw me in to get boxes, because, man, if they do some cool, ethereal Halloween costumes for these characters, it'd be pretty awesome.
It would be hilarious if you could be, Reinhardt dressed up as Tracer or something.
Just with a really bad costume.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah, I mean, any way that they can make money, and that's not a bad thing. They're a company; they're supposed to make money.
So we've seen them release a new hero, a new character.
Have you played as her?
No.
Oh.
But they've released a new character, and now they've done this event. And how many months has the game been out?
Since into May.
Yeah. So yeah, that seems about right. So I'd expect you'll see another hero before the end of the year. And then another event or two. That's about right.
I'm surprised that Rocket League hasn't done Olympic thing. They've done quite a few events, or DLC packages.
They do big DLC things. I just don't think they're a big enough team or set up enough so they can quickly do this kind of stuff.
Right.
I have a feeling that Blizzard, one, their team's bigger, but probably set this up, Overwatch up, ground up, to be able to quickly iterate and put this stuff in. Knowing they early on are like, this is how we're going to be able to give this game legs beyond just another online shooter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so they put out the Batmobile. They put out a couple other cars.
Yep.
So just
they've done basketball.
Yeah. So how long? I feel like they've been pretty quick to put out new cars. So maybe
cars are probably easy for them because they've also said that there's no balance.
There's no balancing.
A car's car.
Yeah, it's just it looks different.
Yeah, so they don't have to worry about that. They just have to make the model. So yeah, I mean, cars are easy for them. Maps and game modes look to be a little bit longer to do.
Well, and they've, I think their attention has been. Was this weekend they had their first ever Rocket League sponsored or Psyonix sponsored Rocket League tournament in Hollywood. So maybe that's where their attention's been. But to put out a Summer Olympics 2016 themed car, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't.
But notice very clearly with Overwatch that it's Summer Games 2016. There's no Olympic logo, tie, mention.
They don't have to pay any of that.
No, they don't.
Yeah. I mean, that's smart, I think.
Oh, it is. It's a good choice. So, I'm actually in this more than anything just really excited to see what Overwatch brings in the next 6 months. I'm happy to see it continuing to do well and really start seeing more significant updates to it.
It's got legs.
Yeah.
I know people keep comparing it to, or they're putting together Overwatch and Battleborn into the same basket, even though they're pretty much completely different games.
Yeah.
But this one, as opposed to that one, has a lot of legs.
Yeah. It's very cool.
And that does it for the news. When we come back, we're going to talk about the games that we are playing, so hold on tight, and we will be right back. All right, my friends, welcome back from the break. We are going to talk about games, and more games, and we're going to start with Anthony, the dev, and the games he's been playing over the last week.
Yeah, so I mentioned earlier I finished the campaign in Elder Scrolls Legends earlier in the week, and then from there I've just kind of been bouncing around. Played some Wind Waker on the Wii U with my son a little bit more. That was fun. Wind Waker's always good. My son enjoys it. He likes the colors, and he likes sailing around. So, didn't do much in it, but really just had a good time with it. But the games I've been playing a lot are... I probably put another 5 or 6 hours into Grim Dawn. They just had it was on sale this weekend.
Yeah, it was
Steam.
40% off, right?
Yeah. They put out a DLC, which I don't care about. I looked at it as what it was. It's like an endless dungeon game mode, like how far can you get? Which is cool. It's like a $4 DLC if you want that game mode, but I didn't really care. It just got me back into looking and playing the game some, and
it's a Diablo
Diablo
2.
It's an action RPG.
Right.
It's a dense action RPG in the sense of stats and trying to understand what's going on. Holy crap, there's a lot to consider. when building your character and itemization, and it's a lot to wrap your head around. But the game also is huge, absolutely huge. I'm in Act. It still has kept my save. It's never been wiped, so I'm in Act 2 somewhere. And God, I've been playing in Act 2 forever. Like you look at the map, and I scroll around the world map to see how big it is, and I'm like, I feel like I'm maybe 25-30% into the game.
Dang.
And I've put not insignificant hours into this thing. It's big. It has crafting, blacksmithing, like recipe stuff. There's tons of gear and loot, tons of side quests and missions, and then just general hack and slash craziness. So I'll probably play it a little bit more. I don't know. It's not the best action RPG I've ever played. It's getting a lot of buzz, though. I can see how people can get really into it, but sometimes how dense it is on stats and stuff makes it for me kind of have I have to pull back. So I'm just like, I see an item, I'm like, I don't know if that's better for me or not. I cannot figure this out.
It's hard to parse when when it's not. I mean, I don't need things to be super simple, but I need 5 options at the most, or
Yeah, there's more than that.
Streamline it in some way.
There's so many things. The item boxes, the text boxes for items can be huge sometimes. Just like
I just end up picking random things at that point. Like, oh, well, that looks good. Whatever. I just go.
Yeah. I mean, they do some hand-holding, helping you, like going like, hey, if you equip this weapon, your DPS will go down or up. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. But it also has all these other stats on it. What's that going to do for me?
Right.
So, I mean, and then the game does mix and match on classes. Like, so you start the game and you choose at the beginning, after you get your first level, you get 3 skill points, and you choose a career that you want, or class, I don't know what to call it. And then at level 10, you get to choose a second, and I think there are 5, and so you can mix and match any 2. So I still sit there and I'm like, I've picked my 2, but I'm not really sure where is the best place for me to spend my skill points. There's a lot of decision paralysis in the game, unfortunately, for me at least. So I spend a lot of time looking at like guides or just community, the subreddit, going like, okay, someone explain to me what's good and what's worthless, please. Because I don't know, and I don't want to make a horribly gimped character. So, I don't know. It scratches the action RPG itch some in a different way than Diablo 3. It's not the best game ever.
Does Grim Dawn make you want to go back and play Diablo 2?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
And then I've been on my commutes, and then at home, actually, I've been playing Final Fantasy Mobius, which is a new mobile game. Final Fantasy mobile game. Square has really been going into the mobile stuff pretty heavily right now.
Yeah, their Montreal studio is basically mobile only.
Yeah, and this is a Japanese studio, Final Fantasy.
Yeah, okay.
Thing. And it's like every other mobile... God, I'm trying to think the type of game that would be... I don't know. You're collecting cards, but it's not a card game, that give you different abilities and jobs, and you're mixing and matching the cards for different abilities to what jobs you want. And again, it's also very dense. And I finally feel like I have the hang of it and understand what I need to do and what's good, what's not. But this is definitely like we would always call it at PopCap a mid-core mobile game. This is not something you would set down like in front of your wife. It's not Candy Crush or anything like that. This is for people that want in-depth strategy. And the actual combat is like a turn-based. You can take 3 actions and then the enemies attack, and you can take 3 more actions and they attack. And so you are doing this weird resource management thing during combat of what to do with your actions, what you need to do, what you can hold off doing for a little bit. So, I don't know. It's interesting to me once I actually understand it, but understanding it was quite the hurdle.
Mm. And this was released within the last week?
It was released Wednesday, I think, worldwide, finally. Mm. Yeah, it's a 3D thing. It has 2 chapters of story so far. It actually does have a story, which a lot of their mobile Final Fantasy stuff hasn't had much of a story.
And it's a campaign that lasts, is like a, 15, 20 hour kind of game?
I think the campaign part is probably about 20 hours, and they have events on the weekend, and they'll have more chapters coming out soon. I don't know how many chapters the final game is going to be. So yeah, I can't really recommend it, but it's a good way to kill some time on my commute.
Yeah. This is more of a...
I'm not going to spend money on it. It was me just being curious. I like Final Fantasy, and I was like, I want to see what they're doing.
Right.
It's a very Japanese mobile game.
I want to see their take on Final Fantasy Go, and not the Pokemon Go, but the Hitman Go, Lara Croft Go thing.
Oh, I want to see... I saw they're doing Deus Ex Go.
They are?
Yeah.
Ah. Oh, hey, the new Deus Ex game comes out this month.
It does.
Are you on that?
I will be eventually.
Oh, okay.
We'll see how much I'm in No Man's Sky at that point.
Yeah, that's true.
I want to be able to dedicate my time to it, so I might wait until like a couple weeks into September, but whatever.
Uh-huh.
I will pick it up. It's Cyberpunk. It's good.
Well,
so
I'm glad to see they're doing Deus Ex Go, because the Go... Have you played one of those yet, the Go's?
No, actually, I haven't.
Oh, man. Lara Croft Go is good, and Hitman Go are... I think those are the only 2 that are out, or those are the only 2 that I've played, but... Lara Croft Go I played more than Hitman Go, but that is some fun puzzling on the go.
Yeah.
It's a game that kills time, obviously, when you're traveling or commuting or whatever. But it's actually a good game in its own right. So definitely.
That's what I've heard. I've heard everyone that's played them that I respect has been thumbs up on them.
Right.
Like saying they're really good games. So yeah, I need to play them at some point. I have a new phone. I should do it.
Did you ever play or get Tokyo Mirage Sessions?
I did not.
Uh-huh.
I should have. I also don't feel like I have time to really dig into it.
Yeah, you're unfortunately running out of time.
Yeah, and that's how I felt with it. I was looking at it. I was like, man, I'm going to have time to really... But everyone seems to really like it.
People really, really like it, and they're really surprised that they liked it. Yeah, okay.
I also saw the people bitching about the costume changes for the U. Of course. That was my YouTube recommendations one, because I think I watched some reviews of it, and so YouTube's like, here's more things you might want to watch, and I was like, oh, come on. I don't need to watch videos about people complaining about how they changed the costumes for North America to make it not, and change their ages in North America. Because I'm sorry, yes, there's a difference in cultures between Japan and U.S. and honestly the rest of the world for what's okay,
what's appropriate, and and that's the thing for me is it's market analysis and what does well in that market. Because if Nintendo, kind of known as the kid company, puts out this really risque game in some way, that's what gets the headlines, and then that is a problem in this market. And it's not censorship, it's not a government telling them to do it, it's them.
No, they're looking at their marketing staff, they're making a business decision.
But I'm sure it's Alison Rapp's fault.
I'm sure.
Everything else. Just keep
let's just keep mining this one.
Right. But anyway, I've heard good things. I'm hoping to pick it up eventually. Check it out. I would need a Wii U to play that game, though.
Go get it back. You just got to get your house ready for it.
I know. I think you got a couple more weeks, and then I'll probably ask you for it.
Okay.
So we've gotten through... Did you talk about Elder Scrolls Legends?
I did.
Okay.
And not on our list, but I've still been playing Pokemon Go.
Oh, of course.
Like, that's just We should just put that as an assumption until I say I'm otherwise.
Yeah, I was just thinking that. So you're always playing unless you say you're done.
Kind of, yeah. It's another great way to do stuff on my commute. And then take walks during lunch.
It seems just as big as ever. People are still playing it, talking about it.
Yeah, it's still the highest grossing game on the App Store.
Yeah.
So it's getting there. Niantic, the company making it, is finally figuring out how to actually interface with the community.
Yeah.
Clearly, they haven't done this before, and they didn't know how to do this being so big. But they do a lot more Twitter and Facebook posts now about what they're doing, what if there's bugs, what's addressing concerns, which has been nice. There's at least some level of communication going on.
Right.
So, yeah, it's fun. It's great. It is what it is.
On my front, I've been playing only 2 games, and the first one, like last week and probably the week before, is Fire Emblem Birthright. I am 7 chapters away from the end, and I think last week or the week before I mentioned how I felt like I was overpowered and just kind of crushing through these chapters. That's stopped, and I'm losing players, and I've restarted one mission 7 times because I lost someone on the very last enemy. I just put them out of position, and then some enemy swoops in and just destroys them, and then I win because I have more people in the field. But the person that I lost was someone really important to me and my strategy, so I reset and reset and reset and reset. But there was one chapter where I lost someone, and I said, you know what? I'm not resetting. We're moving on. I have a lot of characters here. So the story is not getting more interesting for me. There's betrayals and backstabbings and trust issues, and you're fighting against the family that raised you with the family that is your bloodline, and it's okay. And then each map is basically just kind of the same thing over and over again. There's a little bit of variation in terms of some of the enemies that you're facing, but the formula hasn't really changed, and that's fine, because the formula is not really that different from Awakening, and I loved that game too. So it's more of the same, and that's fine. But it's not something that it's not going to be my game of the year, for example.
Yeah.
But it is a really fun, thing to play on my DS or 3DS during the transition here with when I didn't have any consoles up or anything like that. And it's intriguing enough for me to get to the end, but I don't think that I'm going to fire up. I forget the subtitle of the second one. Birthright.
Wasn't Conquest, right?
No, I think it is Conquest. I think you're right.
Is it Conquest?
Yeah. I'll play it eventually, but I'm not going to fire it right up.
Yeah.
So playing that, and then I finally got my PS4, my Xbox One hooked up, and I was bouncing around to a couple games. I was playing Tembo, the Badass Elephant, which is fun. Side-scrolling platformer.
Yeah.
Sonic-ish. Actually made by Game Freak with Sega. And actually a pretty good game. And I played some WWE 2K16, which I won't really get into, but I just like wrestling games. But the thing I've spent the most time on was Walking Dead Season 1. A lot of the gaming podcasts that I listen to always reference this game's story as being one of the best video game stories they've played. So I want to experience it because there's so many podcasts where they mention it and they say, oh, Season 1 spoilers, and I have to turn down the podcast so I don't know what happens. So I just want to get through it so I know. But the interesting thing about this game, I fired it up, and my wife was sitting next to me on the couch, and I, for some reason, was not playing with headphones, which I almost always do. And instead of leaving, she sat there. And for an hour, she watched me play, and I kind of asked her to help me make some of the decisions, and played through a couple of the episodes or chapters for the episode, and then put it away. And a couple days later, came back, plugged my headphones in, sat down to play after she was done watching, or we were done watching baseball. And I put my headphones in, and she was going to go do laundry or something. And when I turned it on, she's like, "Is that the game that we were playing the other day?" I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Take your headphones out." Okay. So she sat with me for another hour or so, and she's invested in the story.
Okay.
Which is surprising to me because it's Walking Dead. She's not a big fan of zombies. But there's something about the human interaction in the story that has she wants to play through the game with me, at least so far. Which is super rad because normally she doesn't give a fuck what I'm playing, unless like if it's Mario, she'll play with me, or Mario Kart. But other than that,
and if I'm wrong, the Walking Dead Telltale game is more based on the comic, right?
I have zero idea, no idea.
I've never watched the TV show, but I thought that was the thing. Was it's not, or it might be its own thing.
Well, I've read.
I know the TV show pulls away from the comic pretty quickly.
Yeah.
It does its own thing.
I've seen season 1 of the show, and I've read probably 8 to 10 volumes of the comics, and this isn't from the books.
Okay.
Or the show.
So it's probably just their own take.
It's their own take, but there's one character, Glenn. I remember him being in both the books and the comics, so there's at least that continuity.
I guess like they did with Game of Thrones, where they're telling their own story, but with other characters there.
Right. Like the character Glenn, he's with you for a bit, and then he leaves to go to Atlanta to find his friends, quote unquote. And in the show, in the comic book at least, and maybe in the show as well, Glenn meets the main character. Forget his name.
Rick.
Rick. There you go. Rick Grimes. Thanks.
Why do I even know that? I've never seen the show.
It's just permeated pop culture.
I guess so.
In Atlanta, I believe. Okay. So there's that connection. So he leaves your story, but you know where he's going if you know The Walking Dead. And it's, obviously it's grabbed my attention. It's something that I'm going to probably beat pretty quickly for a couple of reasons. One, I want to get through and figure out what happens so I can join the conversation on that game. Also, I'm addicted to trophies, and trophies from Telltale games are so easy. So easy. And then my wife is really involved in it, and or at least
she's interested in the story enough.
Yeah, to sit there and not leave. Like, take your headphones out. Like, do what now? That's not usually how this works. So that's cool. That's what I've been playing the last week.
So you're gonna play Batman?
I tried to buy Batman.
Okay.
So I'm gonna buy the first episode. It's $5, and if I like it, I'll buy the rest of the season. So it's it's basically $5 an episode. But my wallet only had $4 in it, and I was like, okay, well, I don't know why I didn't have my wallet with me, or I don't know what it was. I didn't refill my thing in that moment, so I just said, well, I'll play The Walking Dead then, and that's why I started playing The Walking Dead, because I tried to play Batman.
Okay.
So I haven't played Batman yet. I hope to have played through the first episode by the time we talk next week.
Okay.
On the PS4.
I was just curious.
Yeah, not yet. But I'm speaking of Batman, I will tell you a little bit more about my Batman exploits in the next section. We're going to get into what we are reading. Anything else about the games you've been playing or I've been playing before we hop over there?
Nah, I think that's good.
Cool. So stay right there, and we'll come back and talk about what we are reading. So stay right there. Be right back. All right, my friends, welcome back from the break. Anthony and I are going to tell you about what we are reading. And if you don't mind, I'll go first.
Go for it.
I just finished... Okay, so I moved to San Diego proper, but my job is still in the north of the county. It's about a 35-minute commute. And when I commute, my favorite thing to do is to listen to audiobooks. So I'm in a meetup book club, and we were reading a book called My Brilliant Friend, which was an English translation of an Italian novel that came out in 2012 about two girls who are friends and kind of compete with each other and are close and distant and close and distant, and they live kind of in a poor, slightly violent, definitely hyper-masculine neighborhood. And it's about them from when they're 8 until 16, where one of the characters gets married and the other one doesn't, and one's going to school and one's not, and it's kind of the parallels and differences in their lives and the tensions that come about because of that. And it's a book that if I had read the blurb, I would never have read, because it doesn't sound something that I would want to read, which is kind of why I like to join book clubs, because I read things that I would never read. And that... The book was amazing, so amazing. And when I listen to audiobooks, I listen to them on Audible, and I usually put it on 2.5, or 3 times speed, so I can get through this was an 8-hour book, and I got through it in those 3 commutes plus a little bit of at home. So it's pretty quick to get through a book, but it was I don't know how to describe the ending without explaining what it is, but if something happened that was like the most mundane thing that could possibly happen, but because of the way the whole novel was set up, this one thing was like a gut punch. It was like something as stupid as you walk in and see a book on a desk. That's nothing inherently important or interesting.
There's a lot of meaning behind that event.
But there was so much meaning. It was really well done. And then that was the end. And it was a really brave ending for being so little, quote unquote. But in the context of the story, it was huge. So I've been reading that. And then I'm also reading the new 52 Batman.
Oh, yeah.
Story by Scott Snyder, and the artwork is by Albuquerque, I believe. What's his first name? I forget. He's also the guy who did artwork, I believe, for George R. R. Martin's Fever Dream comics.
Yeah, didn't they just do DC Rebirth?
Yes.
What is that?
No idea. It's not a reboot. Like the new 52 is a reboot.
Why'd they call it Rebirth then?
Yeah, it's a name that is confusing.
Because I thought, okay, I'm so confused.
Yeah, so I was too, but one of the gaming kind of funny games or whatever, Greg Miller is a huge DC fan, and he was explaining it's not a reboot, but it's like a alternate or parallel or something weird.
Hi comics, thank you.
Yeah, so confusing. But the new 52 was a reboot, and this is the story of Batman in the Court of Owls. Basically, he's fighting owls, like people dressed up as owls, or it's not corny like it sounds. Like it's really deep. I'm 3 volumes in, maybe. No. 1, 2, 3, 6, 13 like books in, like comic books in, but 2 volumes into the series. I started reading the first one when I was up with you.
Okay.
And now I'm reading the second one. And it's, if you're a Batman fan, it's definitely different in that it delves into the history of the Wayne family, and you find out things that weren't true in other canon. Yeah, so I'm reading that, and it's got me... for some reason, Batman always pulls me... Like, I want to play, like, Arkham Knight now, or Arkham City, and I want to play the Telltale game, so Batman always draws me in. And this is... The story is as good as, you know, a decent novel. Like, it's intriguing. It's well written. Scott Snyder does a good job.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm reading.
It's not The Killing Joke, right? The new one?
Okay. No, you're talking about the movie or the comic?
The animated one.
Oh, Jesus. No, there's Batman is not having sex with a 16-year-old or however old or not
Oh, she's older, and I know from the animated thing. But still, yes, it's still... Oh, man.
I mean, I kind of want to watch it because, I mean, I enjoyed the comic. But the way that they changed it sounds...
Everything I've heard is skip the first 30 minutes. Like, the first 30 minutes are stuff they've added, and then there is a frame that is the exact start of the Killing Joke comic, and just watch from there on. And it's the Killing Joke almost perfectly.
Why did they have to add the first 30 minutes?
Because they're trying to make Batgirl's character more interesting. Because one of the complaints that's thrown at the Killing Joke is Batgirl gets fridged. Like, she has no point in the comic other than she gets paralyzed.
Right.
The Joker. And they're like, okay, we'll listen to that complaint, and we'll try to build 30 minutes so you'll understand her. And they failed miserably at that.
Well, okay, so the only way that we can add any agency or interest in a woman is by having her be a sexual partner?
That's where it ends. But mostly it's her being obsessed with Batman.
Yeah, right.
That's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It was totally a thing of, like, I'm like... Partly I'm like, don't add it. You don't need to add anything to this. Like... Killing Joke, flaws or whatnot, is still a really good story. Yeah, I don't know. it sounded like they wanted to do that, and they wanted to pad it out longer.
Right.
Because they couldn't do The Killing Joke was like, I think they said like 45 minutes.
So then,
and that's not long enough to get like into movie theaters and things like that, which this did.
Barely though, right? Like, was it really in?
It was an hour and 15 minutes, and they got it into there were some movie events, like theater events.
Okay.
I don't know. It's a very odd thing, and I'm like, I think this is how you don't do Batman. This is a bad way to do it.
Yeah.
Everyone talks about it mostly because they got the animated series voice actors. Mark Hamill back as the Joker, and Connolly.
Oh, yep, as Batman.
As Batman. And he said it's just awesome hearing them in those roles again.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, though. Pretty sure the graphic novel you're reading is better.
It's good. And I definitely want to make up my own mind by watching it, make up my own mind, as opposed to listening to the critics. Like, right now, Suicide Squad is being savaged. But I still want to watch it and make up my own mind like I did with Batman versus Superman. But I don't know if I need to pay $18.
Yeah, I think that's my big thing with it. I'll watch Suicide Squad eventually, but not in a theater. I don't want to spend the money on... It never interested me that much. Like, honestly, it's not my type of... They're not characters that I love. I don't like... Of all of them, I like Harley Quinn has always been the interesting to me, but my really interest in Harley Quinn was actually just the animated series Harley Quinn, not what they've done with her in Arkham Knight and Arkham Asylum type stuff, and whatever they're doing with her in Suicide Squad. And oh my god, don't get me started on Joker in that.
Jared Leto, you're not a fan?
I hate that look.
I think
I saw the look and I was like, I can't help it. I just do not like that look of the Joker.
Yeah.
The tattoos, the whole thing. I'm just like, no.
For some reason, I just can't get this Cesar Romero Joker out of my head. I don't know why. Like, whenever I see any other Joker, I always think back to that Joker, which is insane, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's I feel like Warner Brothers themselves is having with
trouble.
ONDC, just trying to figure out how they keep this all together. Like, between the animated cartoons, the movies, the comics, the TV show. I heard the TV shows are actually really good. Like
Flash and Arrow.
Flash, Supergirl, Arrow.
Supergirl.
Like,
right.
I've heard the most of the people I know that actually just really like those shows. And they're, like, completely separate from the movies and everything. They're just, like, their own thing. So.
Well, Justice League, I suppose, is supposed to bring these things together, but...
Wonder Woman could be good. Hoping it's good.
I hope so. Don't be bad. That looks the most...
It looks promising.
Yeah, there you go. The most promising of all of these.
Yeah.
But that's what I've been reading. What are you reading? Are you reading comics? You're reading something else?
I am reading something else. I've been reading role-playing books, actually, a lot. I'm in a D&D campaign now, which I meet tomorrow night, so it'll be our fourth session. So I've been reading some other D&D books, trying to get an idea of what direction I want to take my character in. I have a pretty big choice, I think, at the end of this next session on advancement, so just reading source books there. And then I have picked up this thing by Fantasy Flight Games, the Star Wars role-playing game.
Oh, okay.
Which, I picked up one of the beginner boxes with some store credit that I had sitting around for the game store I go to. Because I just wanted to see it from a mechanics standpoint. It uses a really strange custom dice system. So I've just been reading through that. They put out a Force Awakens beginner game, so it's set in the Force Awakens timeline.
Okay.
So I've just been reading their source books and the adventure, and hopefully one day I'll actually get to play it with people. My wife wants to play it, so that's
really
exciting.
That's good.
Yeah. She role plays from time to time whenever she's done D&D, Cyberpunk back in college, but the problem with us now is getting a group together at the time we can actually do this.
Right. Adults having adulting and
Yeah, it's kind of a pain. So I've been reading, just kind of reading into that, and that's where my head has mostly been, in role-playing books and role-playing game mechanics, and it's basically playing D&D every other week has made me realize I'm like, I miss doing this. I want to do this more. Oh wait, I can't find time to do it more. How can I? But it's piqued my interest back into reading a bunch of books on my shelf and getting ideas if I could run a game, what I'd want to run. And we'll see if it actually ends up maybe getting a chance to. We'll see. Kids are getting old enough, maybe they can just go have a night at Grandma's house.
And the adults can go play D&D.
Pretty much.
Or something.
Or Star Wars.
Right?
Game.
Yeah.
Because, I don't know, what's nerdier?
Oh, that's a hard choice.
There you go. Which is nerdier? Your wife's not awake anymore. I'd present it to her.
Oh my god, she would probably say both.
There's no both. One has to be nerdier than the other.
I think she would probably go to Star Wars.
Okay.
Yeah. That's just, I think, my influence on her, because I do a lot of fantasy stuff, and I think D&D fits that bill, versus sci-fi seems a little nerdier. Just guessing. I don't know. Just guessing.
So yeah. Beyond that, actually, I did rent, get a book from the library. Probably about 3 weeks ago. I finished. It was a Charlie Jane Anders book.
Oh yeah, the IO9.
IO9. Co-founder. Mm-hmm. She left to just become an author of All the Birds in the Sky, I think is the name of the book. Mm-hmm. Weird mix of sci-fi and fantasy. It was pretty good. It was a little bit lighter than I was expecting.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go in it with any pre-notion. It's not something I would typically read. It's not bad though, at all. It's pretty well written. It's just more trends a little bit more young adult than I was expecting, which isn't shocking with the climate of the book market right now.
Right.
So
seems like there would be a better foothold.
So that kind of threw me for a loop there at the beginning, but it was a quick read. It was fine. I think actually I'm looking at my bookshelf and like what's on the list of things. I have a group of William Gibson short stories to read, which has been sitting on my shelf for like a year and a half now. So
is it Ghost Country? That was a while ago.
Spook Country?
Spook Country, that's it.
Yeah, that was a while ago. That was... that's been a while ago. That was the second in his last trilogy that he did.
Oh, it wasn't a short story? That was a novel?
No, his short stories... I can't even... It's on my bookshelf. I can't look at it right now.
Yeah.
So he has it's a collected story. It's a couple short stories, and it's a lot of his collected writings. Not even stories, but just like... He used to write a lot for different magazines, especially travel stuff.
Uh-huh.
And he has such an interesting take whenever they send him to Singapore. And like his take on Singapore is insane. I think he called it Disneyland with a death penalty.
Oh my god.
Was the title of it.
Right.
It's just funny. Like he has an interesting perspective on the world and just use kind of how he sees things. So it collects a lot of those writings. The last novel he put out, The Peripheral, was a mind bender. That was crazy. I don't even really want to talk about it because it would spoil everything. But it took me half the book to realize what was actually going on.
That's cool.
Because it shifts between two perspectives, back and forth. And really quickly, rapidly, and you're like, how are these connected? They're clearly connected somehow, and then it all clicks, and you're like, oh, that changes everything.
Wow, that's cool. I love those kind of books that are engaging at the beginning, even though you don't really know what's happening, and then Fight Club, for example. Like,
yeah, you get invested in the character.
Yes,
like you're reading it for the characters. You're like, okay, things are happening to these characters, and I'm invested in them. Let's see what happens to them.
Right.
But then it pulls back, and then you're like, oh, let me reread this now a little bit. Okay, this is crazy.
That's something that's hard to do with audiobooks. Like I probably read half the books in a given year as an audiobook, but it is hard to go back. for example, the book that I was saying that I read via audiobook, My Brilliant Friend. There was a prologue that didn't make any sense until you get much further in the book. And I would want to go back. I could have, bookmarked and gone back, but it's much harder in an audiobook format to do that than just to flip back quickly and be like, oh, that's that character, and this is what's happening. Oh, okay.
You're like, this all makes sense now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I love books. I think it's so nice. So you've got different kinds of media, movies, TV, books, games, and then you're kind of not burned out, but it gives you a lot of perspective on like game stories, for example, to go back to read books and then come back to games or go to TV shows and just they're drawing from each other and taking the best of each, and it's good.
Yeah, I mean they all feed into each other. Especially now, I feel like actually you see a lot now in games. You see a lot of people that have worked on games and written for games writing novels now, and have a bunch of the BioWare people have.
Right.
Carpathian.
Gator.
Yeah, Gator. He's still there, full-time on Dragon Age, but he writes a bunch of stuff for them.
I thought he left.
Oh, no, he did. He went to another company. He did leave.
He left. That's
went
what I thought.
To Beandog.
Right.
That's right. He did leave. But they have a number of their writers write novels as well. Naomi Novik, who does the Tremere books.
Right.
She, before she wrote left to do the first Tremere novels. Tremere.
Good luck pronouncing that.
She was a writer at BioWare.
Really?
Yeah, she wrote back on Neverwinter Nights.
Oh, okay.
Really old BioWare before she was like, I'm going to go write novels, and then sign a deal for her first 3 books.
I could only get through the first one.
I've read 5 of them.
Wow.
I liked 1, 2, and 3. And then 4 didn't really like. 5 got better at the end. It just ended, though. The last book came out. I think it was 8 books? 9 books total? But I also know that her book Uprooted got a ton of praise.
Is it still set in the same universe?
No, it's a completely different thing.
Oh, cool.
And it won Hugo or a Nebula. Not a Hugo. Maybe I'd have to look, because one of the Nebula Hugos again?
The
last
month, maybe? No. Wait.
Which, the ones that have all the controversy.
Yeah, those are Hugos.
Hugos have not been done yet.
No.
So it must have been the Nebulas.
Because the voting closes the 31st of... closed the 31st of July. So they'll be given out August 17th to the 21st.
Yeah, it won, Uprooted won the 2016 Nebula Best Novel and the Locus Award Best Novel.
Dang, okay.
So I'm really kind of interested in that one. It's totally a different story. It's definitely more just straight fantasy.
Right.
With maybe some mix of like fairy tale stuff in it as well. So, I don't know. I'm reading the little synopsis quickly on Wikipedia. Maybe it's up your alley. Her exploration of magic and the kingdom of Apollonia, Poland.
Ooh, it is up my alley.
So, I have a feeling it's something... It probably ties into a bunch of that stuff. The
Slavic folklore.
Oh, okay. I should put that on my list at the library. It's interesting.
Have you read The Dog Stars by Peter Heller?
No.
Ever heard of it?
No.
Scratch that down somewhere and take a look
at it.
later.
The Dog Stars.
Dog Stars. And then you should recommend My Beautiful Friend to your wife, because as one of the blurbs in the book mentioned, it is... Okay, how is it exactly said? This book is written as though it was Jane Austen angry. So,
okay,
might be intriguing to your wife.
Okay.
Just let her know. Before we get out of here, and this is something that should be in the news, but apparently today, there was news about Rocket League that I didn't see until right this second. There's a new mode coming out in September. Did you see this? Rocket League Rumble?
No.
It's a battle royale style game that comes with different power-ups. There's a disruptor that forces your opponent to drive uncontrollably, a freezer that freezes the ball in place, a grappling hook that pulls you toward the ball, a haymaker which punches the ball, blah, 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 blah.
I'm pretty sure this is not going to be used in their competitive game
at all. No, it's like a hoops or outside of the normal playlist.
Okay, that's funny.
So there's something to look at later. Yep, that's awesome. So a new content drop from them in September. And that's our show for today. Anything else? Any last words, Anthony?
No, go play some games.
Let's do it.
Get ready, explore the galaxy, and Tuesday.
There you go. The 9th on the PS4, No Man's Sky. Play some games and read some books. Read some comics. Read some role-playing source books. Read cereal boxes. Read something. Read anything. And play. All right, my friends, until next week, this is Prof and Dev Play Games, episode 45. We are out.
Good night.